Hello everyone. Excuse me. Hello everyone. Welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. The focus of my presentation and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel in Discord is options, order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step of my process is execution. And I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be talking about setups in an underlying asset. And setups can be taken with futures, shares of stock, or options. Again, my analysis is based on the options market, order flow and hedging flow, and setups can be taken with any number of instruments. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel in Discord as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. And hello, Bartos. Glad you're here. Welcome. And Slotazari says FOMC minutes coming out soon. Yeah, exactly. So I will. I'll go up to that point, and then we'll take a look at the live market. So my agenda for today: what I want to talk about, news, economic data, events, and earnings for today as well as the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I want to review some setups from this morning, and then again at 2 p.m. we'll switch over to live market and watch that as the FOMC minutes come out. All right, so today news, VIX expiration was this morning, and then of course again FOMC minutes at 2 p.m. top of the hour today, and then Friday is the August monthly options expiration. All right, let me get started with positional analysis. Go back to the S&P 500. So this is the ES futures in Bookmap. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I'm going to take a look at a higher time frame. This is SPX in a Thinkorswim 30-day 1-hour chart, and the downtrend that began a couple of weeks ago continues. Let me point out the levels on this chart. First of all, the lower and upper weekly expected move, shown with the dashed purple lines, and the SPX is approaching that level, and that's just above the 4,400 level that I'll talk about in just a minute. So that is the weekly expected move. So far, SPX is still trading within that range, but heading lower. And then note the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. Let me zoom in on this chart just a little bit so we can get a better view of price action. So we know that SPX has been trending lower, and I've pointed out the daily and weekly expected moves based on the options market. So far, SPX is trading above the lower daily expected move and the lower weekly expected move. Let me point out some Spotgamma levels on this chart. So the first really important level, the key daily level, is the put wall at 4,400. That's the Spotgamma proprietary. These are all Spotgamma proprietary levels. This is Spotgamma's put wall, which is a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. And note the 4,450 level did act as support for several days, and now today has acted as resistance. And we'll take a closer look at that in a one-day chart in just a moment. So there's the 4,450 level. That is not a key daily level, but that is a very important level. The next level up is the 4,500 level, and that is the absolute gamma strike as well as the volatility trigger. The absolute gamma strike is the strike with the largest absolute gamma, positive and negative. And then the volatility trigger is the gamma flip level, Spotgamma's gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. And that on this portion of the gamma curve, traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and again, they have to sell futures as price decreases and implied volatility increases to hedge their delta exposure. And we'll take a look at the Vanna model in just a moment that is a graphical representation of that. And then finally, the call wall at 4,600, that is the strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance, and that is not in play right now. All right, so those are the SPX levels. The key daily levels, 4,400, 4,500, 4,600, 4,400 being the potential floor, 4,600 the potential ceiling, and also the 4,450 level being very important, acting as support and now resistance. So let's take a look at that. Let's go to a one-day, 1 minute chart for SPX. You zoom in on this. So this is the 4,550 level. Right there. And initially acted as resistance almost to the tick this morning. I posted this setup in Discord this morning just after 10 a.m. And there was a hero divergence that we'll talk about in just a minute that set that up. And there were two other short setups at just below 44.50 until the last one finally took and broke below I believe it was the SPY 443. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. In fact, let's do that now. So the key point here is the 4450 level acting as resistance. And the next levels below, again, are the lower daily expected move, lower weekly expected move, and the put wall at 4,400. All right, let's take a look at Bookmap now. So yeah, that was the 443 SPY level. So what I'm looking at on my Bookmap chart, I have my own cloud notes, and I have the SPX levels there. Note there is a price difference between ES and SPX that changes a little bit every day. So I mark these, I actually put this information in a spreadsheet, and this applies to all of the SPX levels. This relationship the ES to SPX relationship remains the same. It's right around 15.5 or 16 today, the last time I checked. So in between, again, 15.5 and 16. So there's the 44.50 level that acted as resistance. It was noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note and set up 3 very nice shorts, one for about 10 points and a couple for one for a little bit less, and then this one all the way down to SPY 441. All right, and we'll talk about setups more in a few minutes. So those are the key levels today. Again, the most important being the 44.50 resistance level. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. Before I do take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at, first of all, a QQQ chart. And this is the 367 volatility trigger. And actually, before I do this, I forgot to mention, my bad, shifts in levels for the S&P 500. Let's just go back to the, Bookmap for the S&P 500. Sorry about this. All right, shifts in levels for SPX. Only the volatility trigger actually shifted slightly higher from 44.85 to 4,500. Excuse me. On the other hand, for SPY, there were several, all the key daily levels shifted, mostly lower. So for SPY, the volatility trigger shifted lower. The put wall shifted lower to 440. The call wall actually shifted higher to 460. So that is not as significant. That is kind of out of range, out of play. And then the absolute gamma strike shifted lower as well. So for SPY, volatility trigger, put wall, and absolute gamma strike all shifted lower. So I definitely interpreted that as bearish. All right, let's get back to NASDAQ now. Sorry about that. I forgot to mention that. All right, so let's get back to our QQQ chart. And the key point here is this 367 volatility trigger that roughly, not exactly, did act as resistance 3 times. Not quite as clear as the SPX 44.50 for the S&P 500. And then the other levels in play here. This is the QQQ put wall at 367. Oops, 365. I'm sorry. The volatility trigger 367 and the put wall at 365. All right, let's take a look at an NDX chart to see the levels in play for NDX. So here is the NDX chart for today, a one-day chart. Volatility trigger at 15,090. So NDX trading below its volatility trigger. All right, let's go to Bookmap. All right, so here's the 367, QQQ 367 volatility trigger, acting more or less as resistance, along with this liquidity up at the 145 level. Sorry about that. Just below the NQ 150 level. And note, NQ is trading down towards its lower daily expected move. Whoops, wrong tool. Lower daily expected move shown with the dashed blue line. All right, so those are the levels in play for the S&P 500, NASDAQ. Shifts in levels for NDX, the absolute gamma strike did shift lower from 15,475 down to 15,000, and for QQQ, the volatility trigger did shift lower to 367. That's the level again acting as resistance. And then the call wall shifted up to 400, and that happened on Monday as well. I don't view that as significant really. It's so far out of range, out of play. When QQQ is trading right at its put wall at 365. All right, let's take a look at some other data real quick. And then we'll talk about setups before the data or the FOMC minutes release. All right, so first of all, let's take a look at the gamma notional. This is market maker's position on the gamma curve for SPX, SPY, NDX, and QQQ. And I normally don't look at NDX. It doesn't change very much, but the others do change. So first of all, note that all are negative. Market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day was negative. Again, meaning traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and they have to hedge in the direction of price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. And these numbers are pretty negative, especially for SPY at around 1.8 billion negative. And these numbers all did decrease from yesterday, became more negative. So there was a pretty significant shift for SPX, for example, from negative 245 yesterday to minus 839. SPY became much more negative, as well as QQQ. So let's take a look at the Vanna model real quick to see what that means. So this is the Vanna model. We'll start with SPX. What this chart is showing is market maker's delta notional on the vertical axis and how that changes with price shown on the horizontal axis. There are two curves on this chart. The light gray curve is showing how market maker's delta notional changes with changes in price only. And then the purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. That's showing how market makers' delta notional changes with changes in price and implied volatility. And that change in delta with a change in applied volatility is the Vanna effect. That's a second order Greek. So let's see where SPX is trading right now. So right around 44.32. So that's right around here. So this is on the negative gamma portion of this curve. So this is showing if price increases and implied volatility decreases, market makers can buy back their short futures, and that can fuel a rally. So for example, in 10 minutes, if the FOMC minutes are interpreted as bullish, that could lead to, we'll take a look at VIX, see what it's doing, and that could spark a rally fueled by this put Vanna. On the other hand, if price decreases and implied volatility increases, market makers will need to continue to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. All right, so that is again, we're anticipating larger movements in this negative gamma environment, and this Vanna model is showing, it's just a graphical illustration of why or how that may happen. Let's take a look at SPY. All of these curves are typical of a negative gamma environment. So right now, SPY is trading right around 442.5. So right around here, also on the negative gamma portion, pretty much same situation as SPX. Put Vanna fuel for a rally, a move higher, or negative gamma if price decreases, implied volatility increases. Those puts will gain value, and market makers will have to sell futures. And then we'll take a look at QQQ. And QQQ is trading right around its put wall at 365. So similar situation for QQQ. All right, let's take a look at some setups this morning. We have just a few minutes left. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. What this chart is showing is price for SPX with the white line. The purple line is the hero signal. That's hedging impact, real-time options. This is available to Spotgamma subscribers. And this is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal for SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. So if you trade any form of the S&P 500 and you want to use hero, this is the signal that you want to use. Spotgamma does provide the signals for the individual components, and this is typically what I use. So let's zoom in on this. I'm going to zoom in on the morning. So this is the setup that I posted. Let me just draw a line here. So this is the 4450 level right here. And what I posted this morning was this divergent setup. So hero, as price is approaching that 4450 level, traders start taking negative delta positions as price approaches that level, and then when price gets close to that level, it starts to reverse lower, making for a very nice divergent setup. Here's the second divergent setup, and this one was not as clear, but hero was still making lower highs. So three setups. The first one was definitely the most clear. Again, that's the one that I posted in Discord, and let's go take a look at that in Bookmap. All right, Truman asked, how do you know it is the negative gamma portion or positive area of the curve, the Vanna curve? So the area that I was showing shows that what I'm calling the negative gamma portion of the curve, showing that as price decreases, implied market makers delta notional will increase. That portion of the curve sloping up from right to left, that's showing that market makers delta notional will increase as price decreases and implied volatility increases. So I know that that is market makers position. That's the same as market makers negative gamma position. They have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that's why, because their delta notional is increasing as implied volatility decreases. All right, let's zoom in a bit. Give me just a moment to adjust this chart so we can take a closer look. So here's the first setup. Note this shift in order flow. These green dots are showing these are market buy minus sell. When there's a green dot, they're more aggressive buyers than sellers. Then that shifts to negative. Shown by the magenta dots, there are more sellers than buyers as traders are taking negative delta positions. And price starts to move lower. Note that there were some larger traders in here with iceberg orders selling, sell iceberg orders. As shown here with these icons and numbers. Also by this falling light blue line. So that's the first setup. The order flow for the second setup was not as clear or easy to read. And the third was, I think, maybe a little bit easier to read. This final sweep, so you know this 44.50 has acted as resistance twice. This final sweep up to that level, and aggressive sellers start to come in. And that's the one that breaks the 443 level. All right, Hans K asks, put wall, does it mean that the price goes lower after hitting that level? For a couple of things. So first of all, Spotgamma's stats show that, I believe their stats show that price will trade higher after that level. I would have to go back and review the stats, but they call it should act as support, the put wall, especially for SPX. I think all the stats are based on SPX. So that level statistically does act as support with price trading higher. If excuse me, if price breaks lower, then price could accelerate lower. If price breaks lower and holds lower, price could accelerate lower as puts start to dominate below that level. Excuse me, scratchy throat. All right, we've got about a minute. Let's just hold on here, and we'll hold to the SPX. I want to take a quick look at NASDAQ. Hero signal, much stronger today. So if there's not much happening, we'll take a look at this setups for NASDAQ today, mostly bullish, based on Hero in the morning. Let's go back to S&P 500 so we can watch what options traders are doing. So just quick prep, they have been taking positive delta positions since about 12:15 and helping to support a bounce around 130. All right, the minutes are out. And we'll watch this for just a moment. Let me open up CNBC and see if they have any headlines. Let's take a look at VIX and see what the implied volatility is doing. Let's go to today. So far for the entire day, VIX is down slightly. Zoom in on this just a little bit. So VIX made a sharp move lower and now moving higher. Let's check the reaction for SPX. All right, so ES definitely moving lower. I don't see any headlines on CNBC. Steve Leisman is talking. FOMC minutes must have been hawkish. Let's see what options traders are doing. And definitely joining the move lower. So note that options traders stopped taking positive delta positions, started taking negative delta positions. And this is right around 148. So a few minutes before the release. All right, so N7 lead farmer says it's on top. The top bar of CNBC said more hikes could be in store. All right, so options traders were taking negative delta positions a few minutes before the release. Looks like they were on the right side of the trade. Just a little pause at the SPY 442 level before moving lower, then a test of the SPX 4425 level. That was noted as a support level. And price continues lower. Now it looks like some large traders selling with iceberg orders shown by the falling light blue line. These are small trades. 171 contracts, 40 contracts, very small for the S&P 500. All right, let's see what options traders are doing now. So they're still taking negative delta positions. So what they are doing, they have stopped buying calls. Note this rising orange line shows traders buying calls. They stopped right at that peak in price. Weren't doing much with puts, maybe selling a few puts, and they started buying puts a few minutes before they stopped buying calls. So they started buying puts. That's shown by the falling blue line. So very interesting, a little bit of a lead there with the hero signal. If watching options traders closely here would have given a good leading indicator to look for a short. Let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so traders started buying puts somewhere around here, and they stopped selling calls somewhere around here, and then price broke lower after the release of the minutes. All right, so Rob's 20 asks, how does Tesla look? Let's take a look at Tesla. And after an initial run up, Tesla has been a good short today. We can take a look at Hero for Tesla and see what options traders have been doing. Let's go back to the total signal. So options traders continue to take negative delta positions, the S&P 500. Let's take a look at Tesla. So here Tesla, there was a very nice divergence set up this morning. Options traders taking negative delta positions, and then price starts to move lower. Well, it looks like that took about maybe 30 minutes. Yeah, Truman says Tesla was an amazing divergence play. So there it is. Nice divergent short. I've got that marked on my chart. Let's go back to Bookmap. Options trader taking negative delta positions, trend break, recheck, price moves lower. 230 is the put wall. Let's take a look at NASDAQ, see what's going on there. So this morning, options trades, hedging flow, definitely bullish, leading to nice setups, deep pullbacks, long for long entries. All right, let's see what's going on now. Oops. So starting about 12 o'clock, traders got aggressive, started taking positive delta positions. We'll zoom in on this. We'll see what they were doing. So they started buying calls more aggressively, as shown by the rising orange line. That worked out in the morning, but not so much right now. So just about the same time that options traders started taking negative delta positions in the S&P 500, traders started taking negative delta positions in NASDAQ. Let's go back to Bookmap. So it looks like price broke below the 365 put wall. So good for about a 50-point move in NASDAQ so far. 15,050 to 15,000. Down toward the lower daily expected move. Let's go back to the S&P 500. Let's see what options traders are doing. So it looks like now some larger traders are coming in with buy iceberg orders. Not really, these are small. 81 contracts, that's not significant for the S&P 500. Let's go back to Hero and see what options traders are doing. All right, Hero continues to make a series of lower highs, but maybe slowing down a little bit. Let's just take a look at right now I'm on the 1-day look back period. Let's just change this and see if this gives us any clarity. Back to a 30-minute look back period, so I'm only looking at the last 30 minutes of data rather than the entire day. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. All right, so maybe finding support at the SPY 441 level that had acted as support earlier today. Let's just scan through some stocks. AMD was a good short this morning. Let's take a look at Hero. I'm going to go back to the 1-day look back period, so I'm looking at all the data cumulative for the entire day. Take a look at AMD. Zoom in just a bit. So AMD, Hero, moving lower pretty much from the open. Setting up nice pullback shorts. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. And note also the negative order flow. All the magenta volume dots showing aggressive sellers all day. Yeah, maybe Microsoft. That was, it looked like a long this morning. Long setup this morning. Let's go take a look at Hero. Long setup this morning until about 11:30. Note this larger block trade comes in, shown by the vertical line there. And it looks like calls were definitely driving today. So call buyers moving Microsoft up until about 11:30. Then a large trader, large institutional trade comes in, sells a bunch of calls. Other traders start selling their calls and price moves lower. So that was about 11:30. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. So a long up until then, as traders bought calls, shown by the rising orange line, traders buying calls. When traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. Again, they want to remain delta neutral. And then that drops off pretty quickly as some large institution comes in, sells a bunch of calls, price moves lower. Let's go back to Bookmap. So here's the long setup. Let's just go to use this tool. Long setup this morning, pullbacks, pull back to VWAP, trend break, and price moves lower as traders were selling calls. Let's go back to Tesla. Back to the total signal. Take a look at Tesla. Then N7 lead farmer says, oh, I'm sorry. Someone said, oh, N7 lead farmer, VIX dropping. So let's take a quick look at Tesla. So that, yeah, there's that divergent setup. We already looked at that. So let's go back to the S&P 500. So options traders have started taking positive delta positions now. So just a couple of minutes ago I said that activity seems to be leveling off. So now they have started, they stopped selling. Started taking negative, stopped taking negative delta positions, started taking positive delta positions. Let's go back to Bookmap, ES. And Hans K asked, does Netflix have any large support areas? That I don't know. I don't have Netflix in Bookmap. In just a minute we can take a look at Netflix and Hero, but I don't have it in Bookmap. All right, so it looks like this 441 level did act as support. And N7 lead farmer says he'd love a test of VWAP on SPY here. Let's just go take a look at SPY. So there you go, heading right up to VWAP. That is shown by the shown by this light blue line. SPY looks pretty stretched here. Let's see what happens. Note the smaller volume dots. SPY testing VWAP. Again, that light blue line is VWAP. And Precision Charts, futures trading, asks how much is the delay right now. That I don't know. There may be, I suspect maybe about a 15 or 20 second delay between what I'm saying, what I'm showing, and what you're seeing on YouTube. So it's certainly not exactly real time in YouTube. And in Discord, I don't know. There may not be the same lag, but there definitely is a few seconds. All right, so Truman asked, how does VIX expiration affect the market? I suggest you take a look at the Spotgamma Founders Notes for more information there. I think it varies. I think Spotgamma was looking for a little bit more volatility this morning. So I don't know if there's any consistent behavior around VIX expiration. All right, so some sellers coming in again at the SPY VWAP. All right, so NC Lead Farmer, thanks for pointing that out. Let's take a look at VIX. There's also note about VIX. So VIX has definitely been falling. So right around 213, VIX began falling. So right at the same time, SPY SPX started moving higher. Let's see what options traders are doing. So now they have stopped taking positive delta positions. And there's a very strong correlation between options trades, hedging activity, and price action. Options traders very active today. Let's just take a look at one other thing. I want to take a look at next expiry. So this is showing for the S&P 500. This is showing options that expire today with the green line here. And really that notional value is not significant today. So traders are taking longer term positions, most likely quite a bit, trading in the options that expire on Friday. Let's go back to the S&P 500. We were looking at SPY. Finding some resistance at VWAP. Let's go see if we get any more clues with the ES. And ES also right below VWAP, again the light blue line. There's VWAP. Right above the 4450 level, 4450 level, that is the ES 4450 level. So there's your test of VWAP. Again, thanks for pointing that out for both SPY and ES. Price reversing lower. Looked like a stop run up to that level. Small stops shown by the rising yellow line. Rising yellow, levels off. Cumulative volume delta shifts lower. You can just see the magenta dots coming in there. Took a few minutes. A couple of tests. Down price moving lower. As options traders stopped taking positive delta positions, then started taking negative delta positions. And we saw that the 0 DTE option flow was not necessarily significant here. And let's just see what they're doing with puts and calls. Really no clarity from that. Better to look at the total signal. So now they may be, that may have been just a dip pullback. They're starting to take positive delta positions. All right, so Sam says, hi, I've only recently come to know this channel. Appreciate your education. Learn a lot already. Great. Welcome, Sam. Glad you're here. Hope you come again. And glad you're watching today. Glad you're learning. Be patient. This takes time. And Truman asked, do you use the absolute gamma strike, key delta strike as potential support and resistance and as a magnet to price? So primarily the absolute gamma strike. I really don't look at the key delta strike except at expiration, and typically that is just not something that I look at. But the absolute gamma strike or the key gamma strike for stocks, yes, I definitely look at that. All right, so let's go back to Bookmap. And N7 lead farmer says fighting at market open price and VWAP now. So let's see. So it looked like the cash open is a little bit lower. We can see that a little bit easier in SPY. So yeah, price is a little bit higher. There's the cash open for SPY. You can tell by the big volume dot there, the opening print negative. Also point of control at that level until it moves higher. Now point of control down at 442. That's shown by this purple line here. All right, so the S&P 500 testing SPY and ES VWAP. Now it looks like it wants to move higher. Let's go back to ES. All right, so right now order flow looks bullish to me. Just looking at the volume dots, shift from magenta to green, price breaking above 4450 VWAP, heading to SPY 443. All these lines in the subchart are rising. Cumulative volume delta, buy stop orders, and buy iceberg orders, all helping to move price higher. All right, let me do a final check for questions. All right, so Carl says, I bought Bookmap due primarily to your analysis plus some others in Bookmap Discord. It's been well worth it. Great. That is great to hear. That's why I'm here. That makes me very happy to hear. Thank you very much for posting that. That makes my day, and I'm sure that will make Bruce's day as well. He's the Director of Education at Bookmap. All right, my time is up. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you very much for your questions and comments, especially in YouTube. I really appreciate it. Let me just add one thing. If you have any questions after the end of this webinar, the best way to get in touch with me if you have questions after the webinar is to contact me in Discord first, and I'll have my contact information in my slides tomorrow, but I'm in Discord. This gives me a kind of a central point to answer all of your questions. So in Discord you can contact me. My name in Discord is Doug P, capital D OUG P, capital P, Doug P. And also in Bookmap Discord, there's the chat room, options-Doug chat room. So if you want to join Bookmap Discord, there's great information there. It's free whether you subscribe to Bookmap or not. Great information for a variety of topics, including my channel, channels devoted to a variety of languages, to futures, stocks. So that's the best way to contact me, either direct message in Discord or in the options-Doug chat channel in Discord. And then I'm also on Twitter, and that is at Doug Pless, all lowercase, DOUGPLESS. So you can contact me in either, but I prefer Discord. And again, that will give me a central point for all your questions. Again, that's the best way to contact me. All right, I need to wrap it up. Again, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your kind words. Thanks for your questions and comments. And I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.